Well, good evening and welcome to the Fox 6 Sports Blitz. I'm Brandon Cruz in our Milwaukee studio. Tim Van Vorn and Lily Zauer in the warm atrium of Lambeau Field following the Packers' big win over the Bears. We have so much to get to. Let's get right to our starting lineup. Packing a punch, the Packers rise to the top and ice the Bears. It's the polar opposite for the Bucs as they navigate a period of time without Giannis. And it's all a matter of perspective and say what? While the I-94 rivalry goes to the west. Plus, our high school hotshot will impress.
They're playing some really good ball over there. So, like you said, I think just the situation we were in, meeting for the first time this late in the season, and obviously, like I said, them being number one in the North, this game meant a lot more than it did in other years. So, like I said, they're a good team. There's other good teams in the North, and we just got to keep finding ways to keep going out there and winning.
And that is the key. They need to find ways to keep winning, but they're doing a good job so far, guys. They win 28-21 over the Bears at Lambeau Field. You were both there, and you saw how this game played out. We'll start with Jordan Love, Tim. With one exception, he was very, very good, and he hit the big plays when this team needed them most.
I think you've summed it up there very well, Brandon, and this is what we've seen from Jordan Love now. Most of the games this season, he's solid. He comes up with a couple of big plays, maybe has one play to overcome, which he did nicely today, responding from a very poor interception. He just threw it right to the Bears defender. But beyond that, he was in control. He didn't come close to any other interceptions. When the Bears blitzed him, he was particularly sharp. That's a sign of confidence. If you know you can get something done against the blitz, then you're confident and a quarterback who thinks he can lead a team to success, particularly this time of year as the defenses get better when you get to the playoffs.
And those touchdowns all over 20 yards, 3 of them on the day. Lily, one was not to Jayden Reed, but that wasn't important. He got plenty of touches today, 6 to be exact. How big of a deal is it Jayden Reed is back on the field after leaving in week 2 in the first series with a broken clavicle?
Yeah, it's a big deal. You saw what Matt LaFleur wanted to do with Jayden Reed. You call him Bird, and they featured him on the very first play of the game. Had 6 total touches, 2 on the ground. And so you love the versatility that Jayden Reed brings for this Packers offense. He flashed his speed. He knows the role very well, works very well in the slot. So he's a guy that, again, was their leading receiver the past 2 seasons for a reason. Now he is back. You add in a healthy Christian Watson, and you have, the ceiling is high for this Packers offense, but you see what Matt LaFleur loves to do there with Jayden Reed, and the ceiling high for this Packers offense. Nice to have him back as well.
And Tim, she touched on Christian Watson being there. How much does Jayden Reed being back help Christian Watson become the home run hitter that he has been? But does it do even more because of the concern defenses have to have for Jayden Reed?
I think so, because Reed, as Lily mentioned, is so good in the slot. He's comfortable there. He'll run those intermediate routes, and he'll run them convincingly, or he can come back on the jet sweep and go the other way. So defenses can't really sell out on that long pass that Christian Watson might be able to pick up on. I do think there's a complementary factor here with these Packers wide receivers. Romeo Doubs didn't see many targets today. When he did, though, the defense was off him because they had to pay attention to other guys on the field. I think that the diversification started today and will continue throughout the remainder of the regular season and beyond here for this Packer pass catching core, which includes the tight ends again. They were not weapons the last couple of weeks. They came back into the picture today.
And Lily, is Christian Watson Love's security blanket at this point in time of the season, especially as Tim mentioned with the tight ends not being so involved until today?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those things where Jordan Love trusts that if he heaves the ball down the field, Christian Watson will make the necessary adjustments to catch the football. And I think in that's why he is Jordan Love's security blanket. He has made some phenomenal hands catches when he has been healthy, and his return from that ACL tear against the Bears last year has been such a great comeback for Christian Watson. So I think he really has set himself up to be a really nice top receiver for Jordan Love in this offense.
And offensively also today, we can't get away from what the the run was able to accomplish, Tim. They ran for more than 100 yards. Josh Jacobs more than 80 yards and a touchdown. But maybe his most important run was a 21-yard run on 3rd and 1. How key is Josh Jacobs now that we're in the cold weather, which you experienced, and in the final 4 weeks of the season looking ahead?
Very important. Obviously, you're going to play at Chicago. You're going to play at Denver. You're going to play at home against Baltimore. You're hoping, if you're the Packers, that you're at home in the playoffs, at least to get things started. Those are all going to be games where running has to be a part of things. Josh Jacobs is that type of runner. You know, the guys in the NFL, a lot of teams have 1-2 backs. Certain guys can do certain things. Maybe they're better on turf. This is Josh Jacobs really playing to his strengths. You said it, Brandon. He had a big run there in the fourth quarter to really set up the winning touchdown. And the Packers believe that Josh Jacobs at 75, 85% of health can get a lot done.
Yeah, and Lily, when he does get the ball, he's not maybe as explosive as we saw last year, but he's still very effective, and he looks to be improving each week out. Do you see that when you're watching these games, and especially with what you saw today?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the word effective. He's not the flashy type of runner that maybe an Emmanuel Wilson will give you on the field, but he is effective. He will get you those really hard-fought yards. You look at that 3rd and 1 run, he gets 21. That's quintessential Josh Jacobs. He will get the job done. You know, I talked to him about this touchdown to go ahead and win the game for the Packers, and he said, listen, every time I'm in the red zone, I bet on me. He has that winning mentality that he will go ahead and score no matter what. So you have to love that mentality for Josh Jacobs, and that is why, again, he is their horse on the ground there.
And one of the things that we saw, and we saw it on the 3rd down, as we talked about with Jacobs, but they were very effective on 3rd down, and it's something that has put them into this position to be on top of the division, Tim. What are you seeing on 3rd downs that makes this team the best in the league?
They have had good numbers all season long on 3rd down, and that's one of the reasons their offense now has gotten things together. We have talked week after week, it seems like, well, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't exactly what you wanted. They're sitting there with 9 wins. They've done a lot right this season because of situations like this. They're getting the ball at the right time, and they're making the conversion. One thing they've done as the season has gone along is they've put themselves in better situations on 3rd down. Earlier in the season, it was 3rd and long, and they were not having as much success. As the season has gone along, they've done better on particularly 1st down yardage-wise and set them up for more favorable 3rd down and distance situations.
One of the things that we've seen historically with this team, and not so much this year, maybe early, but are penalties that really set this team back and put them in a difficult position to win games. It looked like that could have been a problem earlier today, Lily. Keyshawn Nixon, 2 big 15-yard penalties in a drive that sets up points for the Bears. How big of a deal is that?
Yeah, it's a big deal. And this is a Packers team that, would take one step forward with a nice play and then a couple steps back with a penalty. We saw that with Aaron Banks as well earlier in the game. But you mentioned Keyshawn Nixon, flagged twice on the very same drive in the second quarter, illegal hands to the face, then gets into it with Luther Burden, gets called for unnecessary roughness. Matt LaFleur not happy with that call whatsoever. But again, you can't retaliate. It's a rivalry game. You have to be smart about it. But again, those 2 penalties led to 1st downs for the Bears, and they got a field goal off of it to make it 7-3. So a couple costly penalties for Keyshawn Nixon. He's a leader in the locker room. You have to believe that your guy knows to kind of be smarter than that. But listen, he responded when he needed to, and that was with that game-sealing interception. So it did cost them a little bit there, but fortunately, Nixon able to rebound in the biggest way to win the game for the Packers.
Yeah, Tim, he runs hot, but that works both ways, and Lily mentioned it. He comes up with the play of the game at the end. It kind of shows you that he has a short memory, right?
He does run hot. That's well put.
That's a good one.
He does have a short memory. He's very much a player of the moment. Sometimes that goes the wrong way. Sometimes it goes the right way. I think there was some film study on this play. The Bears have run this play effectively in their most recent game, as a matter of fact, against the Eagles. And you would assume at least Nixon was aware of the possibility of something happening, so he had to get back on that tight end in coverage. He went up, made a nice play. He could have just batted it down for sure, but he makes the catch. And that shows you what he said Nixon can do. He remains among the league leaders in pass breakups this season. So while he gets his slings and arrows, he's also done a lot as QB1, which he wanted to be this year for the Packers, Brandon.
Yeah, that is true. And one of the things that we saw today from that defense as well, pressure on Caleb Williams, yet he just ran all day. He was only sacked once, but was this good defense by the Packers, or was this playing right into the hands of the way the Bears call the offense, Lily?
Yeah, I think it can be both. I think they did a good job of getting after Caleb Williams in that first half and really getting in his face and making him scramble. But listen, the Bears made some really good halftime adjustments, and Caleb able to roll out and throw, and that's where he was really effective. But at the end of the day, the Packers did what they had to do. They brought the pressure when they needed to, and it was just a funny moment there with Micah Parsons chasing Caleb Williams. He was asked kind of, what were you guys bantering about after that? And Micah said, listen, he's not going to get around me. I'm going to set the edge, and he's not going to beat me. And he certainly didn't today, but Caleb Williams very effective with his legs, but the Packers defensive line really able to hold when they needed to.
And Tim, following that, how tired were these guys? They were running all game and so much in the second half, and they were on the field for so long. How are they feeling as they're in bed tonight?
Suck and win, no question about it. And their next game's at altitude in Denver, so they don't want to be running around against Bo Nix next Sunday either. I thought that Rashawn Gary was across the line and in penetration situations more than he has been much of the time this season, but he couldn't quite get home, and it's so frustrating in any situation as a pass rusher when you get close and can't get all the way home, and then for it to happen time after time after time against Caleb Williams, it had to take a lot out of these guys. They did look drained just walking off the field, Lily.
And if they have to do that next week, it's at elevation. We have to remember that. But the Packers do win 28-21. Now, before we go to break, Jordan Stolz had a huge weekend in the ISU World Cup, sweeping the 1,500, 1,000, and 500-meter races. Today, he set the track record in the 500, the third track record he's set since Friday. I'm telling you, he looks ready for the Olympics in Italy. We'll be right back.
What is it when you're the lead of the parade? What do they call you?
Isthmus.
Antsiness or whatever the word is.
You know, I never knew that. You learn something new every day.
He's short man syndrome. He's not to be played with, bro. He's small in size, but he's like a pit bull. I mean, he's having a hell of a year, and he's having a better year than some of the highest paid guys.
High praise for a little man, according to Micah Parsons, guys. Obviously having fun with Keyshawn Nixon. Lily, as you said, he's a leader in that locker room, so all good fun for the Packers there. But let's switch gears now and have to ask, Lily, is it all good fun in Milwaukee with the Bucks, with Giannis and his future? Is he long for this team, or have we seen the very end now of his time in Milwaukee coming?
You know, I think we're going to talk about this until the end of time, until Giannis himself says, I want to stay in Milwaukee or I want to leave. Of course, reports coming out this week from ESPN saying that Giannis and his agents, they've kind of initiated talks about his potential future in Milwaukee or elsewhere. Then after the game, Doc Rivers had his thoughts on that as well. But at this point in time, unless we hear it from Giannis, again, he's been very vocal and honest about wanting to play for a franchise that is in contention and is competitive. Yes, the Bucks have struggled. They've been injured. They've not played well at all to start the season. You talk about Giannis getting injured as well. So it's just not been a very good week and season thus far for Giannis and the franchise. But when you talk about his future, there has been no indication thus far that he wants out, at least from, again, what the Bucks are saying.
Well, there were reports that he was seeking a trade. Here are Doc Rivers' comments about said report.
So here we go again. There's been no conversations. I go to the source. I talk to the source every single day. Every single day. And he loves Milwaukee and he loves the Bucks.
And Tim, I know that we've talked about this all summer long leading up to this season, and it kind of died down. It seemed like Giannis was fine here, but now he gets injured, and this team is starting to lose a lot more than maybe many thought. So with this injury, does that change maybe the plans for the Bucks?
I think it puts the concern maybe at a higher level than it was previous. Let's face it, the Bucks are a much better team with Giannis Antetokounmpo on the court. They're a much better organization with him in the organization. On the court is now going to be compromised, at least in the short term, because of this calf strain. They're not as good a basketball team without him. And then what is his future in the organization beyond that if the team continues to struggle? I know that's the question you're asking. I don't think any of us can definitively answer it, but I would say the continued struggles point more toward an exit if there was going to be one, because as Giannis publicly has said for years, winning is his first priority.
And Lily, how do they overcome these struggles? Because they can't rely on Giannis, but who can they rely on the court at this point?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's got to be everybody. But again, you talk about A.J. Green having a good game. He is injured with a shoulder contusion, so you have to talk about Miles Turner, Bobby Portis, those guys stepping up, Gary Trent Jr., Kyle Kuzma. Kevin Porter Jr., I think, will be a guy the Bucks will really lean on. He's had a really good season outside of being injured. So you have to lean on KPJ, on Miles Turner, to really be that foundation for this team without Giannis Antetokounmpo. But listen, they built this team around Giannis and put a bunch of shooters around him. So without him there to create shots for this team, they need to find a way to rally and also play some defense, guys. That would also help.
Yeah, we'll see if they can do that. They are off until Thursday when Boston comes to town. Well, the I-94 rivalry goes to the Badgers after beating the Golden Eagles by 20 in Madison on Saturday. Now, it's the biggest win for Wisconsin in this series since all the way back in 1952. John Blackwell had a game-high 30 points, his third 30-plus point game of the season. Marquette, though, led by Adrian Stevens, 15 points. The Badgers improved to 7-2. The Eagles falling to 5-5. We're going to be right back with our high school hotshot. He was given the nickname the Mayor in middle school because of his infectious personality, and he attributes his work ethic to his dad. He also embraces both as he takes his passions to new heights, and that's why he's this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
Hi, my name is Spencer Phelps. I am a junior at New Berlin West, and I am a multi-sport athlete. I do varsity football in the fall on top of marching band, and then throughout the winter I weightlift and pole vault here at Pole Benders, and then once March rolls around I am in full swing for track. Pole vaulting is my favorite sport because I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie. I like flying through the air. Yeah, you gotta be crazy to do pole vaulting for sure. Yeah, it's not for, I would say, the normal person. You gotta kind of have a screw loose to be flying 16 feet in the air and landing on your back on a mat, flying off a carbon fiber pole, sticking a pole in a metal box. 2 years ago when I started pole vaulting, my brother actually dragged me in the car with him and said, "You're coming to practice with me. I think you'd be really good at this." I played soccer for 10 years previously, so in youth football I was the kicker for 7th and 8th grade, and then we had a little tryout my sophomore year and I won the job for the year and the next year. Kickoff, punt, and place kick. So I'm the special teams guy. Getting into marching band, I've been on the drum line for all 3 years. Got promoted to section leader last year, my sophomore year. I love drumming. I've been drumming since I was 5.
Who brought the drum set into your house when you were 5?
Santa. I don't know how he got it down the chimney, but you know, it was Christmas morning. He got it in there, I don't know. Santa, man. Getting into halftime, and I take my pads off, put my drum on, and then the show happens. And then once the show's done, I hand my drum off, and then I put the pads back on, and it's back to game time. I'm a huge cat person. I love my cats, Freddie, Riley, Georgia, and Peter. 2 black cats, 1 orange tabby, and then 1 tuxedo. I'm Spencer. I'm a junior at New Berlin West. I am the kicker for the football team, a drummer in the marching band, and a pole vaulter for the track team. On this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
Santa always delivers. Well, Spencer plans to follow in his mother's footsteps of studying pathology in college with hopes of continuing his pole vaulting career. But first, he has his sights on breaking the school record and also being named drum major for marching band. We'll be right back.
Packers passport time. There he is, Mark Philippi, Menominee Falls graduate. He is the assistant strength coach of the Chicago Bears, formerly America's strongest man. He has a great powerlifting background. How about that? Cool thing there, and congrats to him for that first-year job there. And as seen by TVV, you want to talk about Mark Philippi or anything about today's game, give us the QR code there. I'll have the answers for you tomorrow on Fox Local.
All right, well, that wraps it up for us tonight. For Tim Van Voren and Lily Zhao, I'm Brandon Cruz. See you next week.